Hi, I'm Charlie Daniels, and I sure do love the sound of a fiddle. Yeah, good music really gets me going, but in order for you and me to enjoy music and the other wonderful sounds of life, we've got to protect our hearing. Did you ever think about what it'd be like if you lost that precious gift? Now, there's a lot of noises out there that'll rob you if you don't take the proper precautions.
Any one of these sounds can damage your hearing forever. But noise-induced hearing loss is insidious. There are no signs, no pain. In fact, people exposed to persistent high levels of noise simply forget it's there. All the while, it slowly ravages the tender insides of the ear. Eventually, it becomes permanent.
Hey, Uncle John, do you want to play some basketball? Uncle John!
And the most sophisticated medical and surgical techniques can't correct hearing loss resulting from repeated noise exposure. But it can be prevented by reducing noise exposure and practicing safe behavior.
In our granddaddy's day, loud clanking machinery was considered a symbol of progress, and most workers never even considered the fact that they could lose their hearing. So when some industrial workers eventually became deaf or hard of hearing, they just chalked it off to old age.
But today, we know that the workplace contains noise levels that the human ear is not designed to withstand. That's why the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, requires all companies where noise levels meet an 8-hour time-weighted average of 85 decibels to monitor noise levels regularly, test employee hearing, provide hearing protection, train in the effects of noise exposure and use of hearing protection, as well as initiate engineering and administrative controls to minimize harmful noise exposures. This program will show you and your employer how to work together to safeguard one of your most important senses. You will learn how noise exposure affects your hearing. You will also learn how, when, and where to use hearing protection and how to maintain it. Keep in mind that the more you learn about how hearing works, the more you'll realize how important it is to protect your hearing.
The ear performs a marvelous and sensitive task. Let's develop an understanding of how our hearing works and how loud noises can damage our system.
Exactly how noise affects you depends on 3 variables: the intensity of the sound, how long you're exposed to it, and how close or far away from the source you are. Noise intensity is measured in decibels. A whisper is 30 decibels. Heavy equipment exposes operators to 95 to 110 decibels. A pneumatic chipping tool hazard can reach 103 to 113 decibels. Exposure to 85 or more decibels over an 8-hour workday can mean you risk hearing loss. Let's take a look at how noise affects your ears. When this cricket rubs its legs together, it disturbs the air, producing sound waves. These sound waves enter the outer ear, the part you see, and travel down the ear canal to the eardrum. Like the head of a musical drum, the eardrum amplifies sound, causing 3 tiny bones to move the oval window. This sends the sound waves to sensitive hair cells that change vibrations into nerve impulses. When they're transmitted to the brain, we hear the sound. Now watch what happens to the hair cells when you are exposed to the 105 decibel sound of a circular saw. If the exposure to excessive noise is stopped, in time the hair cells bounce back and the damage is only temporary. Repeat this noise level day after day and they lose their ability to bounce back. The damage becomes permanent. The higher frequencies, speech sounds, f, p, t, sh, s, and ch, the twittering of birds, the chirp of the cricket, are the first to go. Then you find yourself straining to hear simple conversations, and you may hear ringing or buzzing sounds in your ear called tinnitus. The worst damage occurs in the first 5 to 10 years of exposure.
Oh, it's frustrating. I can't hear myself speak, so sometimes I talk too loud. Even watching the TV is a problem. When it's loud enough for me, it's blasting for the rest of the family. Without realizing it, I'm driving them out of the room.
I play my music for people to listen to and be entertained. But loud noises in the workplace are anything but entertaining. They can rob you of your ability to hear and enjoy music. I want to encourage everybody to follow safety procedures and wear the proper hearing protection for your job.
There are 4 P's to remember about noise-induced hearing loss. It is painless, progressive, permanent, and preventable. The first step in prevention is personal protective equipment. Wearing the proper PPE can reduce the noise level you're exposed to. An extremely noisy environment might require wearing both earplugs and ear muffs. Earplugs seal the ear canal and keep noise from getting to the inner ear. Canal caps are soft pads attached to a headband that seal the entrance to the ear canal. They're quick and easy to put on and can be draped around your neck if you move in and out of high noise areas. Make sure your hands are clean before inserting earplugs. Dirt and moisture in the ear canal can cause infections. Compress the plug between your thumb and forefinger. With the opposite hand, pull the outer ear up and back and insert the plug as far into the ear as possible. Hold your finger against the plug until it starts to expand. For preformed earplugs, pull the outer ear up and back and insert the plug by twisting and pushing until you feel a good seal. Both earplugs and ear muffs come in differing noise reduction ratings, called NRRs. Your employer will decide which earplugs or ear muffs will adequately protect you, but you must wear them properly. For ear muffs, your entire ear should fit inside the muff cup. Be sure you maintain a good seal at all times. Hair and the temples of glasses can interfere with the seal needed for ear muff use. Some muffs are designed to wear with hard hats. Wash reusable earplugs with soap and water daily. Dry and store them in a closed container. Wipe earmuffs clean on a regular basis. Wash foam inserts and rubber cushions with soap and water. Old, worn-out, cracked earmuffs and earplugs that don't fit do not protect your hearing. Inspect earplugs and muffs regularly for wear and tear. Earmuff cushions can crack. Replace worn cushions, flaking foam inserts, and bent headbands. Rubber and plastic earplugs can crack, harden, or change shape. Replace earplugs when they're no longer pliable. Even the smallest seal leak with either muffs or plugs reduces their protective value. Ear protection doesn't work if you don't wear it. Some employees complain that they can't hear machine cues while wearing hearing protection, or that they're uncomfortable. Remember, it takes time to get used to wearing hearing protection. If you stick with it for a couple of days, you'll be surprised at how well you can hear important sounds, such as warning signals and conversation. Some manufacturers are making earplugs specially designed to permit some sounds to reach your ear. Take steps to protect your hearing off the job, too. Keep a moderate volume on your stereo, especially when wearing earphones. When using power tools or if you have a motorcycle or snowmobile, use hearing protection.
We joke about my hearing because it seems I always miss the important things my husband wants me to hear. It's like I have a choice in the matter. Deep inside, it really hurts because I'm always having to say, "What did you say? Could you repeat that?" And it's a big block to our communication.
In addition to wearing hearing protection on the job, there are some other steps that can be taken to guard against extreme noise levels.
Do you have to shout to talk to someone who's just 2 or 3 feet away? If the answer is yes, the noise level at your workplace is probably greater than 85 decibels, what OSHA calls the action level. But don't expect your ears to give you the full story. OSHA requires that your company periodically monitor where noise levels are hazardous. This testing is done with a sound level meter. Employees can also wear a clip-on dosimeter to measure their exposure during a shift. Once a noise problem is identified, administrative controls can prevent excessive noise exposure. Your employer can post notices and limit access to noisy areas. Employees can rotate out of the noisy work area for part of their shift to reduce exposure time. You can also control noise levels at the source with engineering controls. Isolate noisy equipment in sound-absorbing rooms. Carpet and baffles can also reduce noise. Add sound barriers and deflectors to machinery. Use wood or metal panels lined with acoustic material in front of or around noisy machinery. Replace noisy metal parts with plastic or rubber components. Eliminate vibration noise by placing heavy equipment on resilient pads. Tighten or adjust large vibrating surfaces such as panels, covers, and guards. Maintain equipment to reduce friction between rotating, sliding, or moving parts with regular lubrication and alignment. Balance rotating parts. Poorly balanced fans, flywheels, pulleys, cams, and shafts can increase noise.
It's the ringing. It never stops. I wish I'd have listened when they told me to wear hearing protection. But I thought where I was working, noise was part of the deal. Now I find out while I was out putting food on the table for my family, I was losing something very dear, my hearing. My family's changing. I'm missing out. Imagine what it would be like not hearing your grandson call your name for the first time.
In this next section, it looks like these people with the headphones on are listening to a good old Charlie Daniels tune like the devil went down to Georgia. But what they're really doing is having a hearing exam. You know, it's real important to have your hearing checked if you work in a high noise area.
In noisy work environments, your employer is required to provide hearing exams to all employees. A simple, painless test, an audiogram can detect hearing loss before it's too late. Within 6 months of the time you start working in a noisy area, you will receive a baseline audiogram. Be sure to stay away from high levels of noise for 14 hours or wear properly fitted hearing protection before the examination. Your baseline test results show what is normal hearing for you and how much hearing loss you already have. After the baseline audiogram, you will be tested annually. Test results are then compared to look for a significant change in your hearing, called a standard threshold shift, or STS. If you have an STS, you will be notified in writing within 21 days. If you have not been wearing PPE, you will be fitted with protection and trained in its use. If you are wearing hearing protection, you may be given a different style of hearing protection and retrained in how to use it. Your hearing is something you can't fix or replace, but you can take a proactive approach and preserve what you have. Practice safe behavior and use PPE at all times. With consistent monitoring, testing, and administrative and engineering controls, you can protect your precious hearing. Doesn't that sound good to you?
Well, it sounds good to me. We all need to work to protect our hearing because losing it can cause quite a hardship. I like to think that we've been given the gift of hearing for a reason. To communicate, of course, but also to be able to enjoy the sound of a summer rain, a child's laughter, birds chirping, or some good old music.